And welcome to the, oh, okay, I thought we were live.
We can't repeat that twice.
Okay. Do your thing, Taylor.
Okay, we're ready.
Okay. Good morning and welcome to the January Mayor's and City Manager's Press Conference. I appreciate you taking the time to come here. We've got a few things we would like to touch over, and then obviously we always sit for questions that you might have as well. The first thing I want to bring up so that we can address it is something that I know has been on the mind of everybody, and that's that water boil advisory and the mitigation that we've done to get us back to where we are now in good standing with all the parts being taken care of, and plans that we are looking at to kind of make sure that as much as possible that we monitor this situation so it doesn't reoccur. So for that, I'll let the city manager address.
So, as you know, we went through the boil advisory, and what you ought to understand is whether you have a small leak that you lose chlorine or you have a big one, those are state regulations that we have to do, but we're back to normal. Now, the culprit in this was a pipe that separated. And what it was a chlorine pipe that allowed chlorine to get out and to lower the residual. That's been fixed. We went back. Our director of utilities is looking at how we can get a better hold on that, how we can pick up on it faster. But I will tell you this. I've been through a number of these. It's been a long time since Topeka's been through one of these. But the leadership that took you through this, and that means the director of utilities and her department and her personnel provided excellent leadership and did everything right in getting the word out to the public and fixing the situation and keeping everybody informed.
Yeah, I want to speak a little bit to that about getting that information out. I know some people were a little frustrated that updates weren't coming every hour or so, but there are no updates to give when you're in the progress of making repairs and moving forward. So as soon as updates were available, that information was being put out to the news media. I noticed the news media covered it very well, informing the public, both on newscasts and on banners that ran across the TV screen. And we tried to put as much information as we could out there. So I know people get frustrated because, like any emergency, we want things to happen quickly and now. And we acted as quickly as humanly possible and practical in trying to repair. And I appreciate everybody's patience and paying attention to the water boil advisory. I don't think that, as I understand it, there's never been anybody reported that was affected in a bad way by listening to the information that went out to help them get through that crisis. So I just wanted to bring that up and mention it. Also, because we're all still experiencing very severe weather and frigid weather, we talked a little bit about the upkeep of the roads and what I believe has been an excellent part done by our street department by preparing for, spraying the streets, getting them ready, having crews available. I know, like I joked about it at council meeting, I know those crews were out during the night because they kept waking me up as they kept driving by my home, which I was glad they did because I knew they were out there working. So City Manager, you might want to speak about their efforts there.
So our Director of Public Works, Braxton Copley, led that effort. He and his people, they did an excellent job. In fact, I can tell you I was pretty impressed with the job they did. They got out there at night. They were running crews at night to open those streets, get the arterials and collectors open. And it was not relatively easy, but it was not too bad getting around. So we have a good team. We have a team that keeps an eye on the weather. One thing I know about our Public Works Department is they do pre-planning. They were thinking about this event probably 24 to 36 hours. How would they address it? Was it going to change? So I hope that the public appreciates the job that people got out there and did. We had people out there working all night. We had people out there working long hours. Now, the question I hear is, well, there's still ice. Well, there's not much you can do about ice until the sun comes out and stays around for a while.
I want to mention also Tony Trower, who also directs a lot of the operations when we're trying to keep the streets safe and clear. He has done an excellent job of looking at and reorganizing the way we address the streets, not just in the materials that we use, but the scheduling and how they assign their street crews to cover the city in a way that's much more efficient, isn't redundant, and keeps us in a position where we can keep more and more streets clear, wherein in the past we were kind of doubling back and forth on each other and maybe not spreading that positive solution out there. But right now, Tony's done a really good job, and his crew is really responsive and take to heart the safety of the city. Another thing I'd like to speak to that happened here recently was the joint effort that we had with the two governing bodies in discussing solutions possibly that we will consider in addressing the unhoused and the shelter problem here in Topeka. For a long time, the city of Topeka has been involved in an innovative center group that has discussed amongst not just the providers of resources, but the public and the community that is affected by homelessness and what those solutions could be. And I thought it was very important for us to be able to speak on the same topic with the same data. And the way to do that was to have that joint meeting so that the commissioners for Shawnee County and all the council members for the city of Topeka heard the same information at the same time, so that there was clarity to what we were trying to accomplish. And I appreciate the fact that the commissioners joined us on that, because that was one of the things we really pressed in the State of the Community address last year. And that was collaboration between the city and the county, which I hope and will encourage all along the way that we continue to do that. Sometimes that idea of city problem, county problem gets in the way of progress, because it's a problem affecting people, and people are who we have to take care of, no matter whether we're on the county side or the city side. So I really am encouraged by the information that we received. I know there are next steps. Immediately after that meeting, there was a planned meeting for a lot of the population that we hope to help with the homeless. So we're not leaving anybody out of that conversation. I think that's important, that we don't plan for others without including them in those plans. So it's important for us to keep that dialogue going between the city and the county. So that's one thing I wanted to make sure that we brought up. And along with that, I'm trying to refresh my notes here. We do have the annual point in time count that's coming up for the unsheltered. That's extremely important for the city, because it's an obligation and it's a responsibility that we have to identify that population that helps, so that we know how to help them. And it helps us get funding through HUD. So it's a mandatory thing, but it's something we should be doing anyway. And there are things that I'm asking the public to do. Oftentimes, even with our best efforts, we'll miss somebody in that count, because they're hard to find sometimes. They're not out waving at us saying, here I am. But if we are able to get that information sent to us as we conduct that point in time count, what's on the February the 5th, is that when it is, I think?
Tomorrow, starting at 6 a.m.
Tomorrow? Okay.
Tomorrow.
Okay, well, I was uninformed there, but it is tomorrow. Yeah, the 25th. And there's a phone number that has been provided, so that if you see an encampment or you see folks that maybe we have overlooked, you can call this number at 785-368-0168. 785-368-0168. And that will help us in making that count even more accurate, So we're asking the public for their help and assistance in that, so to make sure that we have a better, accurate idea of how many people we have out there, so that we can get them into the resources and services that they need. So that's another thing I wanted to bring up. I also want to talk a little bit about the search for our permanent city manager, and I'll let our interim city manager speak to that. So, Richard?
So the city has engaged with, with a consultant that's starting their process, putting their pamphlet together, which is a SGR. I would anticipate that in February, the council will get a first look at that brochure, and then they'll get to put input into that, and then the consultant will lay out what the timeline is. Hopefully you will have a new city manager by June, somewhere around there.
I think, is it anticipated that we may see candidates come before the council, in mid-February?
You could see them in mid-February, probably 1st of March.
So I think that's an important update for the people to know that we are moving and acting on that. We made that clear at the end of last year, that we wanted this to happen in January, to have everything posted and in movement. So,
And I think what public has to understand is it's my counsel to the council has been, take your time. Don't rush into this. I'm here until you're done with me, but I'd rather see you get the right person for the right community than rush into this and maybe not get that right person. This is an important city in the state. This is the capital city, one of the largest cities, and it deserves the best city management that the council can get. So taking their time helps ensure that.
just speaking a little bit on the quality of this city. Again, we're having another visit from the Wall Street Journal staff to do a story in Topeka, about Topeka, and about the way it attracts people who are looking for that place to live and grow and prosper. And I think they're focusing on a family from Colombia who have immigrated here and are working on, are looking right now at a permanent status. They're here on work visas. But that story keeps getting out about Topeka and how welcoming it is and how it wants people to come to Topeka and see who we are. Telemundo did a big story on us that got us a lot of attention and got a lot of inquiries, believe me. And these regular visits by the Wall Street Journal helps with our local media getting the information out about who we are, so that we are attracting professionals and others who want to come here, help grow our population, help grow our economy, and make us a diverse community. So I think it's important that we let people know that these things are happening, because that's not common knowledge that we would have visitors coming in and looking at how we're attracting the new population to the city. But I think it's important for people to know that we're out there and people are looking at Topeka on a regular basis. So that's one thing I wanted to make sure that we brought up. Another thing is back to the unsheltered. I want to thank Topeka Rescue Mission and the Sant and other organizations in Topeka who, during this time with the frigid weather, opened their doors and put in a lot of hours, a lot of volunteer time, a lot of work in helping those people keep warm, sheltered, and safe. And I think that's important for us to acknowledge that we have a community that provides that kind of effort, either solicited or unsolicited. In some cases, some of these warming centers just kind of popped up on their own because they saw the need. There was another church over on the east side of town, I think it was Envy Church or Ivy Church, that on its own decided they wanted to open a warming center as well. So that shows that people are concerned for each other in this city. So I want to thank them for all that effort during this time. And as far as a list of things that I wanted to bring up, those are the things I had as highlighted topics. So, City Manager, do you have anything else?
I think we got it covered.
Okay. So We would gladly take any questions you might have for us.
Mayor, I have a question.
Yes.
So regarding the boil water advisory, we did receive some calls from people, and it was mainly the elderly population who were a little more concerned, and because they kind of don't have that social media and can't really get that information. So regarding the Code Red situation, I know typically it's an emergency tool for law enforcement. Was that something that was used during the boil water advisory to send out notifications?
I think city manager.
I don't,
addressed that.
it was,
We did use it.
it was, all right, it was.
And is that something that, like, looking ahead into the future, maybe it'll send out more notifications about stuff regarding oil water advisories? What are we thinking?
Well, I think, and I don't want to speak out of turn, but I think it's important for us to understand that Code Red is something that we really want to pay attention to. You don't want to get it so often that it becomes just something you see and not pay attention to. So we really have to evaluate how we use it in an effective way. And I think that there are expanded ways we can use Code Red. I look forward to that opportunity. I think that some of the conversation that is also circled around this water advisory is emergency management. And I know there's a lot of conversation about, well, do we have a position that's been vacant for a long time and should we fill it? Well, it was filled for quite some time, but it was determined that there wasn't a real need for that. So that's why it was reduced in numbers in that office. You know, needs change, times change, and it may be necessary for us to look at that again. But I think a better avenue to look at is sit down right now with the county and the emergency management director and see exactly where they feel we could supplement what we have in place right now or enhance it with another staff person. But I think it's important for us to look at what we have. Are we utilizing it in the best way possible? So I think it's a good question about the Code Red. We always look at how we're trying to inform our public because we get this all the time. I don't read the paper. I don't look at TV. I don't listen to the radio. Apologies to Tim. I don't do social media, but almost everybody has a cell phone. Even the elderly use the cell phone. So how do we best communicate with people who just sometimes don't look for the information? I think that's important for us to understand. Who do I call? Well, sometimes it's not a call. Sometimes that information is all readily available if you know where to look. So I think an overall evaluation of how information is given to the public is important for us to look at.
Do you have to sign up for that? Let us know, because I don't recall getting a Code Red, so.
Yeah.
It's because I'm not signed up.
Yeah.
So maybe that's the story, because everybody is complaining they didn't know about it, and that Code Red would have helped. But you have to sign up, but it was
Yes.
on there though?
And I believe you have to go on our website, you can sign up for it. I've had that in a couple of communities, and here's the other thing. Like if you have relatives that live out of town, they want to know what's going on, they can sign up for it. But the more people that sign up for it, the more people will get a direct message about something that's impacting the community, like the water situation. So when will you sign up?
Right now.
With that, yes, although it was sent and whatnot, and the Code Red system was activated, we were informed it was not sent to all users. Is there a reason why it was not sent to all that were signed up for it?
Let me get some help from my communication people here.
Yeah, we can talk more about
Okay,
Red
all right.
specifically with you, Madison.
Yeah. And sometimes it's like people don't think they think it's for some other reason, or they may not have a computer to go there, but there are ways to get around that. There are a number of reasons why people do it. What I've found in the cities where I'm at is you almost have to do a push quarterly. And especially after an event, remind people, like when they call the mayor up and say, I don't get the newspaper, I don't listen to the radio, I don't watch TV, and I don't drink coffee at the coffee shop, then you almost have to talk to those people one-on-one to say you can go do this.
I know we were under the emergency declaration because of the weather last week. I believe that is either ended yesterday or is ending today. Could you talk a little bit about just kind of where the city is at with those the resources that they use and kind of where we're at now?
Go ahead.
Let me understand your question again.
Kind of the effect that the
You
weather.
want to know what impact the declaration had? Well, here's how those things work, and you really ought to probably talk to the emergency preparedness director, but we're keeping track of expenses associated with the storm right now. And if there are enough expenses, not only with the city of Topeka, but with those counties that were declared, then we may be able to afford ourselves to a reimbursement from FEMA. So I think we're still gathering those expenses, and you have a span of time you can do that.
And with regards to where the city is right now, I know from years past sometimes, when we were using different materials to treat the roads,
Yeah.
how we're getting short on salt, we're getting short on this or that. When we've changed to the new system that we use now, like with the liquid that prepares the streets and so forth, it cuts down on the need to have those other materials in place and gives us better efficiency. So the costs go down, but our availability of resources has gone up, because I've not had any indication from any of the directors that we better be worried about where we're going to get more of the materials or the solutions, because they're prepared. They've been stockpiling, and they know, like you said, in advance what to expect. So they don't wait that week before. They're months out ahead of what to expect. And so we're in good shape. I think that, and having the staff available has been a change too, because they've reassigned some of those staff that we had down there who actually didn't partake in working the roads, but they'd had other job duties. Well, they've doubled up on some of those duties, so that gives us more staff available to treat the roads. And so the human resource is available too, as well as those hard resources of materials.
Absolutely.
So you were talking about you're tallying up the total amount of costs. Could the cost for the boil water advisory to be part of the entire winter storm cost? Have you seen
It could be, but we don't know what the rules of the declaration are yet, but it very well could be.
Yeah. And speaking to that cost, Tim, that's a good question. You know, we know how it affects individuals in their homes. The impact it has on businesses is significant. And I want to thank the business owners, the restaurants, and all the others that rely on having availability of a good, clean water to run their businesses. I appreciate everything that they did to accommodate what their needs were and to be patient with us. They have been excellent during this time. And again, it doesn't happen that often, so it catches everybody by surprise. And you don't think about it. So I think that we have a very resilient community that responded in a way that helped government meet its needs and responsibilities to the city. So I appreciate that.
was wondering if the city has anything to say in response to recent contentions in court documents that 30 police body camera videos were destroyed, potentially harming the prosecution's case against a man charged with 3 murders.
The city does not, Tim.
Okay, further questions? No? Well, thank you again for
That's
being
it.
here. I appreciate it.
It was easy.
Have a good day. Be safe. The roads are pretty good out there right now, unless we get more freezing rain, but right now they're pretty good. So, thank you again. So,